committee will come to order. We meet today to consider the pending nomination before the Finance Committee of Martin O'Malley to be Commissioner of the Social Security Administration. We're going to use the time now to make statements on the nominees. I'm going to make a statement followed by Senator Crapo, then followed by any other finance members who wish to make statements. At that point, if we have a quorum, we're going to proceed to the vote. If we don't have a quorum, and that will be my sense this morning, we're going to recess until the next roll call vote on the Senate floor, when the committee will reconvene in the President's room off the floor to have the vote. Senator Crapo, is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Today, the committee considers the nomination of Martin O'Malley to be Commissioner of Social Security. When I first met the nominee in my office, I said to him that this position, above all else, is about service, not politics. He agreed. My first question to the nominee at the hearing was whether he agreed that this job was about service, not politics. He responded that improving customer service was the main reason why he said yes to this opportunity. As he noted in his testimony, there is no Republican or Democratic way of fixing customer service problems. You just got to get them fixed. Service, not politics. Service means tackling the problems that beneficiaries are facing, including long wait times, mile-long ribbons of red tape, outdated technology, and a very challenged, if not beleaguered, workforce. Like several members on the committee, I raised a top issue for Social Security that's in need of urgent reform: overpayments and their impact on beneficiaries. For the millions of Americans who live on a fixed income, and I saw it when I was director of the Gray Panthers, these are the folks who walk an economic tightrope every single week, balancing the food bill against the fuel bill and the fuel bill against the rent bill. They're on fixed incomes, and any change in benefits can have a substantial impact on their daily lives. That's true everywhere from Albany, Oregon, to Zionsville, Indiana. Getting a letter from Social Security saying that you owe tens of thousands of dollars through no fault of your own is, and this is an understatement, life-altering. Mistaken overpayment can be the difference between affording the rent, having electricity or heating your home, or buying groceries when your benefits are later cut to make up the difference. When Americans are trying to resolve a problem with a mistaken overpayment, I would just say, as we said to our colleagues before, folks who are suffering this way don't give a hoot about the party the commissioner belonged to. Yesterday's Fox Business story, colleagues, had it exactly right in its reporting on Social Security and supplemental income folks who have been hit with overpayments because of the COVID stimulus checks. After recent reports saying some beneficiaries were hit with the Social Security Administration claims of overpayments and even lost their benefits, and we've written a number of letters, I sent another letter with Senators Brown and Casey to Social Security, finally trying to get to the bottom of the scope of this problem and magnitude of the oversight and what the agency is going to do to fix the problem. We were told in the past, by the way, as members of this committee know, that Social Security was fixing the problem. Based on the latest information, that clearly is not the case. This committee, on a bipartisan basis, is going to watchdog Social Security's overpayment program, and we intend to meet with Social Security every single month until this is fixed. Tackling this, along with Social Security other challenges, is going to take a fresh approach to leading the agency and working hand in hand with Congress to improve this bedrock program for all Americans. Martin O'Malley has spent the bulk of his career in public service, transforming government organizations from bureaucratic morasses into more efficient machines that better serve the public. I believe Martin O'Malley is the right person for the job at the right time. I will support his nomination, and I just close by way of saying that I base my support for Martin O'Malley on the fact that every single time we have talked, he has emphasized one matter and one matter only, and that is service above politics. I urge my colleagues to support him this morning. Senator Crapo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we will vote on the nomination of Martin O'Malley to serve as the next Commissioner of Social Security. During his nomination before this committee, Governor O'Malley acknowledged the serious operational and customer service challenges facing the Social Security Administration. If confirmed, he will need to take the steps necessary to address these challenges, including improving wait times for disability decisions and updating disability program rules, reducing wait times for callers seeking assistance through the SSA's National 800 number, ensuring that if someone wants an in-person appointment with the SSA, they can get one in a timely manner, improving the agency's information technology and online service offerings, and taking additional steps to prevent overpayments before they occur, which protects both beneficiaries and taxpayers. I appreciate the commitments Governor O'Malley made during his hearing and in his responses to questions submitted for the record. For example, he committed that he would make customer service improvements at the SSA a top priority and would not weigh in on policy decisions beyond providing Congress with the data and information it needs to evaluate policy options. However, I will not be supporting his nomination today. When the Biden administration removed the last Senate-confirmed commissioner prior to the completion of his 6-year term, I expressed strong concern that this decision politicized the SSA to the detriment of Social Security beneficiaries. It is important for commissioners to have sufficient time and certainty to implement real changes. Now that the precedent has been set to shorten a commissioner's term, future administrations could follow it. Although I will not be voting in favor of Governor O'Malley's nomination today, we do share the goal of getting the Social Security Administration back on track so that it can provide the public with the level of service they expect and deserve. If confirmed, I will work with Governor O'Malley on this and other issues in a bipartisan manner. Thank you for holding this executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Crapo. And let me just make one point and then recognize my colleagues. In 3 cases, Collins versus Yellen, and SELA Law versus CFPB, and Free Enterprise Fund versus Public County Accounting Oversight Board, the Supreme Court ruled that single agency heads serve at the pleasure of the president. And I would just say to our clerk, we will have written documentation of those precedents that show that there is the authority for the president to replace an individual. All right, let's go now to our colleagues in order of appearance. Senator Cardin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for scheduling this session so we can vote on Governor O'Malley. I've known Governor O'Malley his whole professional life. I knew him as a city council person in Baltimore, where he could be depended upon by his constituents to raise their concerns at City Hall and get results. I knew him when he was mayor of Baltimore, and I'm going to relay a story about what he instituted in Baltimore known as CityStat, because it responds directly to the chairman and ranking members' comments of what they expect from the Social Security Administrator and from the Social Security system. And what he did as a mayor of Baltimore in CityStat was revolutionary. He established a system where he had individual accountability for department heads. They would have to appear before him personally on a regular basis and see the charts before them as to how well they are performing. I was there one time when we were dealing with local trash collection, and he showed the charts of how long it took for a city resident to get a response to a trash problem and what the expectations would be during the next time that agency head would be before the mayor. And if there were no improvements, action taken. There were improvements, steady improvements at each one of these meetings, because the mayor himself was directly involved in accountability. So Senator Crapo, when you mention the wait time for disability determinations or how long it takes on 800 call or difficulty of getting an in-person meeting at Social Security Administration, I can assure you that Governor O'Malley, as Administrator O'Malley, will have the responsible parties meeting with him personally with charts. He loves charts, sort of like Senator Conrad. He loves charts. And he'll have charts there showing the progress.
We know charts around here.
He'll show the progress being made on a monthly basis, what the expectations are, and we all know that budgets are going to be tight. You got to do with the budgets that you have, and you got to do better. And Governor O'Malley will demand that there be better customer service at the Social Security Administration. So I just really want my colleagues to know that we need a confirmed administrator for the reasons that Senator Crapo is referring to. We need someone responsible to report to us as to why it takes so long for our constituents to get the services they need from the Social Security Administration. Governor O'Malley will take that responsibility as the accountable person and reporting to us, showing the progress he's made and being held accountable. So I urge my colleagues to vote for his confirmation.
In order of appearance, we'll go to Senator Casey and then Senator Tillis. Senator Casey.
Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for calling this hearing, and I appreciate the time you're spending on this nomination. I've had the pleasure of knowing Governor O'Malley for many years and had the recent opportunity to sit with him in my office back in September and then again before the committee earlier this month. As I indicated earlier, the Social Security Administration touches every single American life at some point. Social Security is a lifeline. We all know that. It's a blessing for many of my constituents in Pennsylvania and millions of Americans across the country that use these benefits to help them afford rent or pay for food or other basic costs in their lives. And yet the program has struggled. Employee morale is low, retention is low, technology has lagged, and too many families and individuals with disabilities are unaware of the benefits that are available to them. I know that Governor O'Malley shares my concerns, and I know the concerns of many on this committee on both sides of the aisle. And I also know that he has a commitment to overcoming these challenges at the Social Security Administration. I was heartened by our conversation about ABLE accounts, which is as a result of a measure passed through this committee 9 years ago to allow families to save for a disability in a tax-advantaged manner, just like you save for college. That wasn't available before 9 years ago. I was encouraged by our conversation about those accounts and the importance as well of children's benefits, as well as the governor's demonstrated commitment to improving morale at the SSA. We all want to preserve and protect Social Security. We must do that. I think we have a moral obligation to do that. We're going to need a leader to ensure that the American people can continue to receive the benefits they've earned and the quality service that they need and support. I have no doubt that Governor O'Malley is that kind of leader. Both his experience as mayor as well as governor prepares him well for that. He has the expertise needed to strengthen the agency and program delivery for Americans. So I urge all my colleagues to advance Governor O'Malley's nomination. I look forward to working with him as commissioner.
I thank my colleague, the chairman of the Senate Aging Committee, and particularly appreciate your mentioning kids with disabilities. That's an area that, as you know, has been a bipartisan concern here in the Finance Committee, and we appreciate leading your effort. Senator Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak in support of Governor O'Malley for the head of the Social Security Administration. I got a call from former governor, very conservative former governor that all of you all would know back early summer, raving over Martin O'Malley and how good he was to work with. They were contemporaries. They served together as governors. And since that first phone call, I've received so many more, and really speaking to his willingness to hear both sides of an issue, to focus on efficiency. I spent most of my career with activity-based accounting and all the nerdy things that makes businesses run well. That's why when we met together, I felt good about his insight. I felt good about what he did to reduce crime in Baltimore. He has a very systematic method, I think, to his approach, which I believe will serve him well in the Social Security Administration. We also, in my office, I spent about an hour with him. I talked about the reality. I agree with Senator Casey. We have a moral obligation to make sure that the Social Security safety net exists. We also have a moral obligation to recognize that at current course and speed, we're going to break a promise 7 to 10 years from now if we don't figure out how to fix it. And not changing the promise that we've made to those on it, those who are within reach of getting on it. As somebody who made my first payment to Social Security in 1973 at the age of 12, $33. I looked it up on the website. I haven't missed a Social Security payment since I was age 12. Do I necessarily need the same benefit that someone else who may not have been blessed over the years to get out of a trailer park and live independently? Maybe not, but we need to start having that discussion about means testing. We need to have that discussion about how we index for eligibility going forward. We need to have a discussion that any reasonable person outside of the political pressure cooker that we call Capitol Hill, almost all of us would agree that makes sense. I know that Martin O'Malley is not going to be in a position to change the structure of the Social Security system, but I do believe he will have the insight once he gets in there to understand that Congress needs to act, and we need an expert there to help us advise on the best way to actually make sure that that promise gets fulfilled. But on an immediate basis, things that he can deal with, I think he will go into the Social Security Administration to make it lean, remember again who the customer is, and hopefully take down what has tended to be, over the 9 years that I've been in the U.S. Senate, one of the single largest sources of casework that my staff have to deal with in North Carolina every single day. I believe when we confirm Governor O'Malley, that I'm going to be measuring that. I'm going to see how his results go. There should be a direct correlation between his results on making the Social Security Administration lean, customer-focused, and we'll be able to measure, every one of us will be able to measure that by the satisfaction of our constituents back home. So I'm going to support him. In full disclosure, I told Martin this in my office. He wouldn't have been my recommendation. I'd have picked one with a more conservative stripe. But I think we've got one of the best candidates that the administration could put forward, and for those reasons, I'm going to support him wholeheartedly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Tillis. And I think this is reflective of the kind of approach you brought to the committee. We appreciate the way you're tackling these issues. And, you know, in particular, the focus of separating out policy from actually implementing laws passed by Congress. And that's a distinction sometimes isn't really made around here. And I think Martin O'Malley really gets the difference. So I look forward to working with you. And let me, because Senator Crapo and I are going to be working very closely on this question of overpayments. We'd be very interested in your input. We're going to get from the new commissioner a report every single month on the progress with respect to overpayments. I invite colleagues on both sides of the aisle to participate in this effort, and I think it highlights the distinction you're making. I have some ideas, you know, with respect to taxes and how we fund services around here. I'm pretty upset about the fact that firefighters and nurses pay taxes with every single paycheck, and a billionaire, if they use the buy, borrow, and die system, can pay little or nothing for years on end. But that's not what this nomination is about. This nomination is about how we're going to tackle the issues you mentioned, Senator Crapo mentioned, a couple of Democrats mentioned, and that's how we run the system. And on a monthly basis, we're going to be tracking one of the biggest issues, which is overpayments. And I just want to thank my colleague for the way he's approached this and other issues. You mentioned it gets kind of nerdy. We've been doing nerd around here for a long time. And fortunately, people understand that the nuts and bolts of running these programs is essential. So I thank my colleague.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I should have said this in my comments. I also want to thank Senator Cassidy, because Senator Cassidy and Senator King have set many of the members in this committee in a room. And we've talked about the art of the possible and getting Social Security on sound footing. I really do hope that that is a discussion. We can get away from the fear of talking about reforming Social Security so that we can fulfill the promise and get to the fact that it can be done with little or no disruption. And it'll be a promise that my grandchildren will be able to count on, because today they can't. And so Senator Cassidy, Senator King have a framework that I hope members will step up, dispense with the concern over the pushback from the electorate, and give the folks what they need. And that is with serious, sweeping Social Security reform and maintaining the promise that we've made, not only for the generation on it today, but for future generations.
I thank my colleague, and let me just go through the procedure of what's going to happen next. Obviously, there is not a quorum present, so at this point, unless there is an objection, the Finance Committee is going to recess and reconvene to vote on the nomination during an upcoming vote off the Senate floor. That we expect to be at 11:30 a.m., and we will be voting in room 219 of the Capitol. And at this point, the committee stands in recess.